Lies, BS, misunderstandings. However you really want to phrase it, a lot of bad information is passed around crypto, which leads many of us down an unfortunate path where we ultimately will leave the bull run with less money than what we actually put in. And look, if you're someone right now thinking to yourself, there's no way someone can leave a bull run with less money than they actually entered with, you're going to have to trust me. It unfortunately happens more often than you might think. Now, it could simply be because someone is told to buy a bunch of bad altcoins, or that they're falsely taught to research something that isn't what actually makes an altcoin pump. Maybe they just simply aren't organizing their entry levels or creating a solid exit plan. But whatever the reason may be, I am speaking from direct experience here and my countless calls with many people in the market recently that good information is very hard to come by, and a very slight slip up is all it really takes to come sliding and rolling back down the mountain we are about to climb leading into 2025. So that is why I thought it would be super helpful today to jump into the question and answer video we are going to be doing to help solve any mysteries or concerns you may be having around what coins you need to buy, sell, well, basically everything in between, and what I am buying and selling myself. Now, the goal here is to keep you on the straight path to profiting as much as you possibly can in crypto. Now, just a quick reminder as well, if you do appreciate how much effort I put into this video, or if you enjoy the content that I do make and wanted to say a big thank you, hit the like button and subscribe so you, of course, can achieve your crypto goals. Now, before we kick things off, I've got to reiterate here, guys, the main purpose of this video, while it is to have fun, yes, it's to get as many questions answered as possible in different ways so that you can have as much information and outlook from me as possible. Now, I've got 17 questions. I've got a nice mix of, hey, what do you think of this altcoin? Or how is this altcoin going to perform? Or, hey, what did you do in this situation? But mainly speaking, portfolio, how to research, so on and so forth. All those sort of questions. It's going to be great. You're going to learn a lot. That's at least the intention. So with that being said, I have pre-answered all of these questions to make sure that you are getting the most amount of information possible in the shortest time. Unfortunately, do the quick math, 17 questions, 1 minute each, that's 17 minutes. You know how long this video goes for, I don't, but I will try to make it as fast as possible. Now, question number 1 comes in here from Sal. He says, what about an update on the recent $10,000 portfolio? Now, I don't have a 10K portfolio, but what I do have is a $5,000 community portfolio in which we built a portfolio together, and it was $5,000 US of my own money I was putting forward for a lucky winner in the next 24 months. So basically in the bull run, I was going to sell those coins and give away ideally a kind of low between $100,000 to $200,000 portfolio. God, my maths does not look good right now. It looks like 2 million. To some lucky winner, of course, but you have to participate, be involved in the No BS crypto community, some way, shape or form, commenting in the Discord, helping people, so on and so forth. That's been put on pause temporarily speaking because there's a legal requirement. Basically, I can only really start to announce this 12 months out from the actual giveaway itself, which is going to be late this year. So hold on tight. If I do it earlier, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff I have to do and fill out. So it's still going to happen, but late this year. So far, the portfolio stands. We've spent about half of it. So out of the $5,000 we have, we've spent about $2,500, and so far we've over doubled it, right? So we've got a 2.4x, which is fantastic. These are the coins. This is the breakup and how much money it's currently worth. Of course, with the recent pump, well, we're in a dip right now, but the recent pump, these are all worth a lot more. Question number 2 comes in from Alexander. He says, what advice would you give a beginner crypto investor? Can you turn $5,000 into 6 figures? Well, yes, that's the plan with the community portfolio, so I definitely think so. He said, I know you have delved into it, but could you break it down a little bit more, please? Thank you. So great question overall. Again, that's the $5,000 community portfolio, but the way I would break it down as simply as possible is assess your goal, then assess how much risk you have, and this in of itself, these 2 things are like the very base framework that's perfect if you start here. Most people don't begin with that. Most people lose money in the space, so work out that for yourself. Then look at the altcoins and research these with my method that I teach you guys based on fundamentals. Find the narrative, where the money's flowing into. Find the meme, what's going to attract the retail basically into wanting to buy that altcoin in that narrative peak. And look at some of the popularity aspects, like what could come up along the timeline between the next 2 years that could get it popular. So bring people in, typically news, roadmap events, so on and so forth. Look at the tokenomics. Very basically, is the tokenomics good enough to just at least pass the security test? Is it not bad? Is it just decent? And then look at the team. The team can also help the meme in that it's a good team. That's like, if you had Vitalik Buterin creating a new layer 1 project, that is a part of the meme. It's, oh my God, it's Vitalik, right? So that can kind of be summarized in this article over here. I've got a video, how to create a beginner portfolio. I posted it to someone recently. I can leave it down below. Again, same thing. We kind of looked at over here the two most important aspects, and then moving into how do we find the altcoins, and then using the first two answers, right, the risk and the goal, to then plot our altcoins and create our portfolio, then our DCA plan. That's literally all you have to do. People try to overcomplicate it. You don't really have to at all. You just have to be very precise with what you're researching, okay? You don't want to be researching everything, because then you don't know what actually needs to be researched to at least have an important impact on the altcoin. Now, George over here, when do you think XDC will be listed on Binance? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. No one knows, but this is a part of the popularity I was just talking about, right? So news, roadmap events, so on and so forth. This also includes exchange listings. For those who don't know, exchange listings have a massive positive impact for the price of a project temporarily. Look at Mina. Mina recently launched on a very popular, I think, Korean or Japanese exchange, and it shot the price up from 36 cents way up to $1, like basically in a couple of days. And that was not a tier 1 exchange by any stretch, right? For the area, maybe, but not globally. So this is the impact it can have. So when we have something like XDC launching on Binance, Coinbase, so on, it's going to have a massive impact, because basically more people are going to buy it, and more people anticipate more people to buy it. Therefore they buy, therefore the price goes up. So I couldn't answer that exactly. I'm sorry, George, but that's the rundown of it. I would suspect XDC is a quality project. We could definitely see something in the next 2 years, just looking at it from a risk to reward standpoint. Shredlord over here says, love the videos, bro, and really appreciate the quality content. Thank you so much, man. He said, if you were in my position at 19 years old to make $50,000 in the bull run, what would you advise to do with the money? Now, I'm guessing the way you've said the question is, what would I do once you make $50,000 in the bull run at 19? You see, the thing about being a 19-year-old, I think most of us have been there at least, is that it's very hard, because you feel there's a lot of pressure on you, when in reality, you have many, many years before anything else happens. For example, you're 19, in 2 years you'll be 21, and then 4 years after that, you'll be basically in the next cycle, right? So you'll be 25, you'll be my age. You have plenty of time to really pick and choose carefully. What I would do at 19 if I had $50,000 in the bank is I would look to buy a house in 2026 to 2028. I believe there's going to be a massive crash happening in the next crypto bear market, and you'll be able to pick up probably maybe 2 houses, at least have a deposit on 2 houses with that amount of money, depending on where you actually live. Of course, housing prices will most definitely come down, and so that'll be a fantastic opportunity for you. Depending on the lending rates from where you are, it might be a very viable option, especially, and the goal would be to, of course, rent them out. That's the intention here. Now, that's not financial advice. I'm just saying what I would do with that money. Alternatively, you could start a business, you could do this, and you could do that. For me, unfortunately, $50K, while it's a lot for a 19-year-old, it really isn't a lot, speaking from the general, life sense. So that's what I would do. Alternatively, again, you could probably throw that into stocks, but I would most definitely wait for 2026 to 2028 and then look to do something with that cash. So question 5, Stephanie says, 10,000 HBAR or 10 Solana, please. I want to know where to put my money. First of all, great question. I think both fantastic projects. Fundamentally, they're both layer 1s, right? They're doing different things and they're designed differently. I think HBAR is tackling Web 2, fundamentally speaking, and I think Solana will have its foothold in Web 3, but I'm guessing the question you're asking here is, how much money am I going to make from either one of these? What's the better investment for 2025? Now, currently the prices are very similar. Maybe that's the reason why you asked me. So 8 cents and $90 over here. So if you had $1,000, you could roughly speaking put it into either one at this point. Now, HBAR's market cap is about 2.6 billion. And Solana's is 40.5 billion. So that's a 16x difference in favor of Solana, right, in terms of size. But I believe if you're someone looking for your multiples, the question you have to ask yourself is, how many are you chasing? If you're someone who's looking for more multiples, well, simply put, HBAR is likely going to be, not financial advice, the better choice, because it's likely to achieve a 10x from this price, and even possibly, in the best case, a 25x from this price, right? And Solana, definitely not. Solana, you're likely going to get a 6x max, like the equivalent of HBAR 25xing. So that's my opinion. That's my case. If you want a safer buy, you could probably buy Solana. But if you're wanting a 6x, I probably wouldn't even bother. I would probably, if you want a 5 to a 6x, just flipping over to HBAR. Still a very high quality and safe bet. This can get into a very difficult and controversial conversation, because we can bring up HBAR's token unlock schedule, like dilution, or Solana's large amount of the supply in the hands of FTX still to be released at some point, or even the tech versus each other. However, this will need to be entertained in a much longer video, so drop a like and I can actually make a Solana versus HBAR video. Let me know in the comments as well, because I don't really know if it's because you like the video or because you want to see this. So let me know down below as well, and I can most definitely make one. Again, basically speaking, I think 10,000 HBAR for most people would probably be the better bet. Second asks, is it true that we don't know when Hedera HBAR will release the rest of its tokens? And you actually are correct. They don't forecast anything past a quarter, so every 3 months. And the reason they do this is actually very smart, right? They don't do it because they can actually produce inaccurate results. Now, this is one of the reasons why actually a website a lot of people do use called Token Unlocks removed it, because they had forecasted a whole bunch of HBAR's token releases and it turned out to be completely wrong, and it got a lot of people very upset, okay? So this should not only speak for HBAR, but for a lot of projects. Sometimes things can change. These guys do it just to be as accurate as possible, but also they release one of these reports, right? The management report, which is on a certain time frame, and it completely is open and transparent. They even say the first line that HBAR's total supply is 50 billion, but they can increase it if it needs to be done. The governing council. It has to be a unanimous decision, of course, but it can be done. And most projects can do this as well. They just don't openly admit it. Remy asks, what's your thoughts and views on JASMI? This is something I've covered many times before on my live streams, actually. We do get into this topic a little bit here and there. Now, I'm going to answer these just dot point form, right? So I personally don't want to invest in JASMI. I think there's many other plays out there. And fundamentally speaking, I think the narrative it's in, IoT, isn't going to really be a really fantastic narrative. And I think if it even gets a little bit of demand, I think most of that, again, speculation speaking here, will go into something like IOTA, if anything at all. Again, I could be completely wrong, but that's my view on JASMI. Not in my top 10 contenders, that's for sure, right? So fundamentally, it is not the Bitcoin of Japan. Please stop calling it that. I really don't like it. I mean, call it if you want. It's not going to really bother me, but I just hate to hear it's the Bitcoin of Japan. It's a good project. It's not anything near Bitcoin. Tokens are fully unlocked. That's a big benefit, of course. Fundamentals is, it's not amazing, but it's definitely something's there. An adoption flywheel. The matter of fact, the way it gains adoption is a very difficult process. There's typically a flywheel most projects follow, not just cryptocurrencies, but just businesses in general, to pick up steam. Facebook was once small. Its flywheel got pretty big to the point, of course, it dominated the world. And in this case, JASMI's flywheel is extremely slow off the mark. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, don't really want to look at it. It's not going to be a massive impediment in 2025. That's for sure, most definitely beyond. But again, it's just not something that really tickles my fancy, if I'm just going to be completely honest here. Before I move on, I want to defend JASMI here and just say, if you're someone looking at their chart going, oh, look at the chart, it's disgusting, it reminds me of ICP, I don't want to get involved, there's always a reason why this happens. And in this case, it's not because it's a bad project, the market cap's still quite high. It's simply because they diluted their token over here instantly, basically, right? They put almost 100% in circulation. If you click the 12 month, you can see there's definitely trading here. So it's not bad because it was completely diluted to begin with. It just means all tokens are out there to be traded. So in this case, it's just going to be probably benefit to the network, because once they're eaten up and held, it's going to have more impact on price and be less diluted over time. Mask says, if you have $10,000, what's your ideal number of coins to have in your portfolio? Now, believe it or not, this is one of the many situations where there's no one-size-fits-all answer for this. However, I would say this. Consider the following. Larger caps you can put more money into because it's safer gains, but less gains. Alternatively, lower caps you can put less money into because they're more risky, but you can receive more gains. And this is kind of like how I would think of it, right? So this is something I always talk about here. It's kind of like the way to consider your risk categories in crypto. This is, again, one of the principal things, the foundations you should do. Assess how much you can afford to risk, and anything that you can afford to lose in crypto would be entered into these two risk categories over here. And the percentage of your portfolio that you cannot afford to lose would go into these top projects over here. So projects basically above these market caps or between these market caps. Now, once you've done this, you can then begin to look at the altcoins itself. Now, here's a very recent video, again, I had done on that beginner portfolio where we broke down a $10,000 beginner portfolio. You can see here, this is $10,000 broken up into these projects. You can see the larger cap projects we use to offset the gains with this PokerStarter over here. And we use the green projects to offset the risk created by the red projects, okay? Now, yellow, again, is a bit of a mixture of the both. However, again, I would say depending on the projects you pick, it could be also very risky as well. I can comfortably say that because I'm picking these altcoins, but you might be a bit different as a novelist, for example, okay? So The other goal we want to achieve here is not just the risk and buying the projects within these risk categories. We also want to have a look as well. We're hitting the most nails on the head. So as many narratives as you can. In this case, we had 11 coins into 8 narratives, which is quite impressive. Again, $10,000. So it all depends, of course, on your risk. You might have 100% risk. You can lose it all right? And so you can pick basically all of these altcoins if you really want to. Therefore, you can achieve, 100x if you really want to look at that target. It does depend. I would just stay away from putting like $200 into like 20 or 30 altcoins. So next question is, why did I sell my Chainlink, right? It's a good question. I recently got rid of Chainlink out of my portfolio. You'll see the reasons why in just a second. Now, this all stemmed from, well, the question started basically from the portfolio video I did on my update, and I got this particular, not even a question, more of a statement in this case, right? A lot of people have their strong opinions in crypto, and I thought it would be very good to address it once and for all. So the reason why I got rid of it, there's actually a few reasons. Number one, I sold at a profit, right? I sold on the 1st of December last year. 2, I only had 230 Link, which was about $3,200. To some of you, that's a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. 100% agree, but for my portfolio, that's only 3%. So it wasn't that much for the size of my portfolio. And number 3, I consolidated that into HBAR to tighten the size of my portfolio, right? Again, it was basically a loose end. I could either do 2 things. 1, commit to buying more Chainlink at a 3x to then obviously put it inside the 10 altcoins I was going to decide to hold, or reduce the size of my portfolio and find another Oracle play. In this case I have, which is Pith. That isn't a missed opportunity. Again, what's the point? If I got my DCAs in about $6 for Chainlink, why would I then decide to continue buying at a 3x increase if it wasn't going to meet my ROI expectations? You can see why. Now, not to call this gentleman out directly here, but people like this don't understand the reasons why you do things in the first place. It is strictly because it is not a viable investment any longer, because the price is no longer attainable to fill my bags. Had $3,200 been like 30% of my portfolio, fair enough, I would keep it, but it's not. So tightening my portfolio and then looking to double down on another Oracle play, or in this case, temporarily speaking, HBAR, right? So I had intentions to buy more. I just did not expect us to erupt in price so quickly. Remember this for your own bags. If an altcoin isn't going to meet your ROI expectations, it's not worth it. Question number 10 comes from Irish Bartender, and he says, which is more important? Pumpamentals like multiples, or pump timing like early versus late? And he said, I'm focused on early pumping cryptos with the goal of harvesting and then reinvesting. So taking profits off the top and putting some more back in. But I would have to say, Irish, is that they basically mean the same thing, right? Growth in terms of multiples only comes from timing correctly. Like, for example, Solana over here, right? So Solana down here at like $9 was a 50x. Well, that's at least the proposed multiples or price it can go to in 2025, which is $468. But if you buy right now, it's only a 5x that level, right? It's literally a 10x or multiple of 10x, order of magnitude difference, right? So it is definitely all about timing, but again, it always comes back to growth. Timing is growth, growth is timing. So that's sort of the same thing. I guess that sort of like answers the question. But in this case, again, I would think about it like pumpamentals are the most important thing. You can have pumpamentals that tick all the boxes on Solana, which they do. They definitely do. But without timing, it means nothing. And vice versa. You could time a project that has no pumpamentals and it's going to do nothing. So they work hand in hand. Question number 11 comes from Marcos. He says, hey, Kyron, thanks for your work. Thanks for watching, my man. Do you have price predictions for DAG, ROSE, and EWT? Only for one of those right now, only for EWT, okay? So DAG and ROSE I currently don't. However, I do want to say, by the way, for those who aren't familiar with the channel, I have a massive price prediction sheet of 40 altcoins. None of it's my personal opinion. It's all done, as you can see here, based on data, which is where we come up with the price predictions over on the side over here for each of these altcoins. Now, I'm looking to have a 100 plus altcoin sheet like that, but updated every single week with new supply information and new, of course, data that comes from the market dominance. Updated for you all. Again, that's on my private community, which is launching very soon. So stay aware. It's only like $16 a month to get access to that. You're crazy if you don't take full advantage. Now, here's one that I do get time to time, and I think a lot of people have their suspicions with me because I made a video on the dark side of Kaspa, like I also did with 2 other of my favorite altcoins, mind you. And the question comes up a lot, like, should I buy Kaspa coin? On that video, on my recent videos, they see the bad video or the dark side video, and they make assumptions. So I think Kaspa is a great pumpamentals-based project, and we've of course been validated by that, by the fact that it has launched over the last like 12 months. It's gone up significantly, as you can see here, like went from basically nothing to like over 100x. It was crazy in the bear market too. So the question becomes, should you buy it? Well, I think fundamentals speaking, it's a big tick, but is it good, again, for your ROI? Now, here's what I would do if I was you. Locate your entry levels, which always works back from two things, your ROI goal and the price prediction, okay? That's the first thing you do. I want 100x, okay, cool. And the price prediction for Kaspa is, let's just say $1.50, which it is in this case, right? Well, from the current price of $1.50, you're not going to get 100x. So that's first of all, that wouldn't qualify Kaspa as a good investment. But the current price is 11 cents. So that's a 14x from the current price. Okay, so if that's under your personal target ROI expectations, then yes, it is a good time to buy. But just remember that $1.50 is a price prediction. It's the max it could realistically go to. Could go more, could go less. No one knows though, but that's the ceiling. So you don't want to be selling at that. That's max risk, basically. So again, I would more so look for Kaspa to buy right now if you were looking for likely more so about a 6 to a 9 to 10x max. Question 13. We know the money flow, Bitcoin layer 1, big caps, small caps, and then hopefully AI and gaming. Should we go to all in big caps, take profit, invest, and then into speculative narratives after profit or DCA already? So I'm guessing what you're saying here, brother, is that you're looking to kind of maybe conflate two different things, okay? So it sounds to me like you want to chase the waterfall. This is the Bitcoin, like the altcoin path to alt season's called, right? But it's actually very bad to chase this. You'll always be caught chasing your tail. So those who have conviction will always win. If you find a project or a narrative and you stick with it, you believe in it, you'll be the one to get the money. If you follow the pack, you will always be left with the scraps. Just fundamentally how it works. You're supposed to be ahead of the money, and if you follow this, you will always be one step behind the money, okay? So here's what I would do. Find altcoins not based on the waterfall. Find altcoins based on your risk and ROI goals, as we've recently covered. You will naturally then gravitate to altcoins within one or multiple waterfall categories, like we can see over here. But I will say taking profit and then buying micro caps in the bull run is the one exception, because in the midst of a bull run, you'll be able to put a very little amount in with huge upside, of course. That's the benefit of micro caps. And most micro caps don't pump until everyone else has made money at that time as well. So basically, it's like the final FU of the bull run, right? Everyone's made money over the last 12, 24 months. Micro caps then have their little season. Private says, what do you think will be the future of crypto? Will we still be able to see many 10x's and stuff after the 2025 bull run, or will it become like the stock market? Now, this was a question until recently I had a pretty certain answer on, but now I'm a little bit more conflicted, right? So some of the growth benefits coming up here soon is things like the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other ETFs, overall market growth. AI, I believe, will have a general crypto market growth, so will decentralized physical infrastructure, altcoins, and also layer 0, 1s, and 2s. I think these will all bring money back into crypto because of the way that they're designed. But we also have some negative aspects that are coming very soon to crypto. Economic depression in the US, massive market crash overall, causing a crypto market crash. Crypto regulation, right? So the market crash will be spawned from it as well, plus also limited US adoption depending on what passes. And CBDCs harming off and on ramps, preventing more people from actually coming into crypto. So in my opinion, before making a direct and a certain answer, we'll have to wait for more data until about mid-2025. Either way, crypto will eventually become a slow-moving industry, whether we like it or not. However, the tech is so unique and accelerated versus Web 2, a lot of the demand will still need to flow in over time. So I think we'll have a lot of multiples to be made over a long period of time. But depending on the impact that the particular crypto regulation and CBDCs will have, it could seriously impede that. So 2030 will be different, that's for sure, for better or worse, but I think it'll be one extreme or the next. I think it'll be another crazy bull run again, or it'll be a situation where we have very little growth overall in terms of multiples being made. Ellen says, hi, I spent $100 to $300 each on about 10 to 15 alts last year when the market slumped to $17,000 Bitcoin. Now I'm still holding them all, she says. When should I sell, or should I sell some of them and consolidate around 1 to 3 alts? Thank you very much, and I thank you for your question. So you must, in my opinion, create an exit plan for each altcoin. When you sell must be determined from your ROI goal. Notice how this is a common theme, guys. You will know when to sell when you know how many multiples you need. Otherwise, you're shooting blind. So if you're looking for a 10x, Helen, chances are you'll be able to sell now. If you're looking for a 30x, sell at X price, whatever that means to be a 30x for each altcoin, or 100x, maybe not even possible for that altcoin. So you might have to sell that, altcoin now for a profit and then buy back to a different altcoin that can achieve the 100x, for example. But again, it all determines on your goals. So 10 to 15 altcoins, by the way, is a good amount to have. If you purchase these at, again, the market low in January 2023, the small amount of $300 in each one is actually quite a good allocation. because you would have had a massive discount back then. Personally speaking, I wouldn't sell at such a good entry unless the altcoin wasn't going to meet my expectations. Now, if you need to have some sort of exit plan created, use this sheet. I created this for you guys recently. It is a complete ChatGPT prompt. It comes out like this, and all you pretty much do is enter it all in with your own sort of parameters, and it spits out a bunch of sell levels for you to achieve your goal. It's literally as easy as that, completely free. I'll leave the link again down below. So again, work back from that goal, Helen. Work back from that goal, and then you'll be able to find the multiples you do need to then know when to exit. Question 16, let me be honest. I have exactly 24 altcoins in my portfolio, sad face. I want to remove some coins, but my issues is that a lot of these coins are in good narratives and niches. Should I remove coins or leave the portfolio as is? I think this is a pretty important question that a lot of you probably are asking at some point. So the question I would say immediately is, can you commit to 240 minutes of research per day? That's, again, 10 minutes per altcoin per day, which is required, I believe, to maintain enough information on the altcoin. Buy, sell, what if they change something that is announced, but you don't catch on and it eventually dumps and you go, oh, well, I missed that, right? I didn't see that. Because you have too many altcoins, that's 4 hours a day. If you can't see yourself pulling the plug on any of them, then it's not the end of the world though. Do not worry, because all you have to do is ensure that you're on top of each coin and have an exit plan organized. With an exit plan and a sell orders, you could have 100 altcoins. Again, it's a little bit risky because in that case, you don't know if something changes and is announced on their Telegram, for example, that you might miss. So you're playing a more risky game in this case still, but as long as you have your exit plan sorted, you are a lot safer at least. So that said, that will conclude today's video. I hope you have enjoyed, but most importantly, I hope you have learned something new. And if you have, let me know down below with a like and also a comment on what you thought was the best answer to the best question. Now, with that said, if I did miss one of your questions, make sure you go to the Discord or the private community and ask away in there. We have a great group of people in there, very smart, always trying to help each other out. So please come and join. It'll be great to have you on board. With that said, thanks so much. Talk to you all soon.